Hello guys, so this is Anand here. Good morning again. So as I told, like we have to go through one more interview session, and that is related to the sourcing and RFQ. So I'm sharing my screen. I hope it's visible to you. So guys, I have shared you two interview videos. So first interview video was what on procurement in depth, HR scenario, challenges, improvements. Second video I shared you is which is not that important, but of course you have to go through that. Vendor master, material master, accounts payable and invoice, and apart from that, order management, logistics, inventory. First video is of 70 minutes. Next video is of around 35 minutes. So close to 105 minutes. So this video would be again around 40 minutes. Sourcing RFQ. This is very, very important for your interview. Most of the topics, like most of the questions, scenario based will come from this topic, and it is difficult to crack. So make sure like you're by hearting this properly. So three interview videos together, it is 150 minutes. So my request to you is like daily you have to watch 15 minutes to 20. Daily you have to watch 25 minutes. Read, write, by heart. See the video, understand, write, question, answer, by heart it. If you do this for 6 days, your all 150 minutes will be done. That's it. Only one time you prepare this. Enough. But make your own notes on this. Remember. So whatever I've told, question, answer. So now we have to go with the last one, that is sourcing RFQ. Just a highlight before this. You have to first watch the sourcing and RFQ topic also. This whatever topic we have covered in our regular class, okay, and after that you can watch this video. Means it will be clarified for you, because here I'm just telling you about interview, question answer, that way. So some concepts you may not be knowing, so please go and watch the class video, you will get over there. So first is, how many sourcing requests do you get on a daily basis? So as we say in PRPO, we get 20-25 PRs on a daily basis. So that way, how many sourcing requests you get on a daily basis? Your answer will be like weekly, we are getting around 4 to 6 sourcing requests to find a new vendor weekly. Okay. So you are telling like, if your experience is less than 3 years, you will say that you are working in PR to PO as well as sourcing, but in a team. Okay. If your experience is more than 5 years in your resume, you can say sourcing and RFQ. You can say 12 to 15 requests per week. If your experience is more than 5 years and you are doing it independently, also means team is there, but you are leading the team kind of. But if your experience less than 3 years, you say you are working in sourcing, but in a team. Remember this. Next, if your experience is less than 1 year, you can say you have knowledge on sourcing, you know the whole process, but majorly you are working on procurement. Okay. So how many sourcing requests? 4 to 6. Second, what is going to be internal sourcing? So you have to say which tool are you using for internal sourcing. The tool which you are using for internal sourcing is SAP ECC, and you have attended a 5-day workshop on SAP Ariba. This also is important. So SAP Ariba is the tool which is used for sourcing actually in most of the companies, for internal as well as external sourcing. Okay, internal as well as external sourcing. So most of the companies use SAP Ariba. So it is a tool from SAP, that is SAP Ariba. So most of the companies are using this tool for their sourcing activities. But you don't know this tool. So you will say we have learned SAP ECC. So we are doing internal sourcing on SAP ECC. And also in my company, I attended a 5 days workshop on SAP Ariba. You have to tell that way. And what is that 5 days workshop you have attended? In that you have understood what is SAP Ariba. So you just go through the YouTube and watch few videos on SAP Ariba. Okay, so what is SAP Ariba and all? So internal sourcing means what? Whenever, see guys, whenever you want something, what you do first, you check in your system if the vendor is available or no. If you don't have the vendor, or if you have the vendor but there is only one vendor, then you have to also do external sourcing. See guys, always remember, if I'm finding one vendor internally, that means I cannot go with him directly. How will you understand whether he's the best? So you have to do external sourcing, find externally also vendor and then compare. So minimum how many suppliers you reach out to if they ask you. So minimum how many suppliers you reach out to? 3 suppliers minimum. Okay, then you compare it. So external sourcing means what? You are finding the vendors on different websites. For this, I have one notepad which I have shared to you already. That name of the notepad is important links. On the first page of this particular notepad, I have given every link related to the sourcing RFQ topic. So please go through that. Okay, so external sourcing, we say we are using these particular websites which are already on that. These are all US based, as I've told. Thomasnet.com, skynova.com, skynova.com, and apart from that, one more, Unite, dgs.com. So these are the websites you're using for so selecting the like checking the vendors externally as well. And SAP Ariba, you say you have attended a 5 days workshop. So SAP Ariba, all things you know in SAP Ariba, like how it looks and all. If given a chance, you can easily work on SAP Ariba. So whatever things are done in the company, it is done on SAP Ariba only, guys. Means like finding the vendors, because that's like Flipkart. Like when you log into Flipkart, you can see so many vendors, right? So SAP Ariba is a open source platform. Open source means no need to download SAP Ariba. You will directly log in. Suppliers also can log in. Customers can log in. You can log in, and online only everything happens. Remember this, okay? So in SAP Ariba, usually I'll just give a highlight. SAP Ariba is a open source. You have to log in into SAP Ariba, and here you have to create an event. Event means what? Now I want a new vendor for my material engine, so I will create an event in SAP Ariba. There will be an option to create an event. So there I'll create an event on SAP in SAP Ariba for which material I'll create it for engine. Okay, so in that then suppliers will participate and suppliers will submit their information and they will submit their proposals or quotations, and then from there we will check everything. We will reach out to the suppliers one by one and then compare and select the best vendor after negotiation. So basically SAP Ariba, there is an event, so go there and run an event, and then you have to add some project details about that particular material. You have to add the project details, then run an event. In that then you submit the RFI to the vendors, then vendors will give you information or proposal or quotation, and then you will compare. So SAP Ariba, read about this once, and whatever I say, only if you buy that, that's also enough. And there's one more portal, guided by portal. Here you do PR to PO in Ariba. In Ariba, I'm saying, but we are not using Ariba. We are using which tool? SAP ECC. But you have to say we have knowledge on SAP Ariba. So internal sourcing means you are finding the vendors internally. If you don't have much options, then you find the vendors externally. We are saying these links we are using in US suppliers to find the link, find the new suppliers. Okay. Next, what are the negotiation parameters? So once you have three suppliers, how will you find the best suppliers? So you have to say what are the negotiation parameters. So you are negotiating on price, you are negotiation on quantity, delivery date or lead time, warranty and guarantee of the product, annual maintenance contract, who is giving a better credit risk to you, means who is giving you more payment terms. You can call it as a payment terms or incoterms. Who is giving better payment term, who is giving better incoterms, long term contract or agreement. Then apart from that, you can consider comparable negotiation. Then you can consider reviews and ratings. So these are all the parameters on which you negotiate with the vendor. Let them ask you any scenario question, tell this. So who's giving you better price, quantity, timely material delivery, who is giving you a better warranty guarantee, who is giving you a better payment term, incoterm, like more time to make the payment, who is like comparable negotiation means take the quotation from one vendor, compare it with other vendor. Like we go to a shop and tell, right, that vendor is giving at low price and why you're telling it this much. So compare between them. So check the reviews and ratings, long term contract or agreement. Sometimes vendor is not ready to decrease the price. Tell him, give him a forecast that you require this material for a longer period of time, so please reduce the price. I am ready to sign an agreement also. So when you go to a shop, you promise a long term business, right? It's kind of that way. Okay. So and you can even see additional services what he's giving. Okay, on this also, like suppose vendor is not reducing the price, but like suppose I want a machine, vendor is saying I can't reduce the price. Then what I'll tell him, okay, I'll give you whole amount, but you do free installation of the machine. So like additional services also on this also you can compare. So on all these bases you are negotiating with the vendor. Once you negotiate with the vendor, we create a comparative statement, guys. So this is a Excel comparative statement. Here we will write all the three vendors, V1, V2, V3, all the three vendors. What initial price vendor 1 quoted? Suppose 10 euros. What initial price vendor 2 quoted? Suppose 20 euros. What initial price vendor 3 quoted? Suppose 30 euros. Then after negotiating, what vendor 1 confirmed? 8 euros. What vendor 2 confirmed? 12 euros. What vendor 3 confirmed after negotiating, he agreed for 20 euros. So only price is not important now. Then we will check all these parameters. We'll write here: quantity, delivery date, one below the other. We'll go on writing here. Like for example, what quantity, delivery date, who is better, credit risk, who is better, AMC, who is better, and we will give ratings to everyone. And important quality also, quantity and quality of the product. So we will give ratings to all the vendors. So what is very important, maybe quality is more important, so we'll more focus on quality and price. So it's not like everyone will have the same weightage. Okay, price, quality, delivery time may be having a high weightage, rest all points may be having a low weightage, but all these points will write in Excel. There we will compare all the three vendors, and that is known as comparative statement. This is a Excel. Once we create a comparative statement, we are not going to choose the vendor, guys. We will compare, and whichever vendor I think he's the best according to me, that vendor I'll say L1, means the first level vendor. Who is the second best is known as L2, and the third best is L3. So according to me, V1 vendor is best vendor, V3 vendor is second best, and V2 vendor is third best. So I'll give my rating, my all the analysis after negotiation, and I'll send this report back to my requester or the client. According to my this report, client will tell me which vendor to select, but based on my vendor. So I've given him best rating. So my client may say, okay, as per you, go with V1 vendor. So we have to discuss this with client. So this is known as comparative statement. So after negotiation, you build this comparative statement. Remember this, and let them ask you any negotiation. Tell this only. So in this, what is AMC? AMC means annual maintenance contract. So you stay in flats, right? Sometimes. So in flat, every month you pay maintenance, right? It's kind of that way. So whenever you buy softwares or you buy machines, laptops. So now, if you buy softwares or you bought a laptop, you bought 500 laptops. So one vendor is saying every year I'll update your OS, every year I'll give you antivirus. First year I'll give the service free of cost. Second year onwards I will charge 1000 per laptop. And second vendor says from first year only I'm going to charge you 500 per laptop or 1000 rupees per laptop. Then this vendor is better now for us. Laptop cost may be higher, but his yearly renewal is lower. Like when you buy a flat also, you buy a car also, you check the maintenance. Both car are of same price, but one is of very high maintenance, one is of low maintenance. So we see that because that is easy for our pocket. Every time we need not pay that much amount. So that is known as annual maintenance contractors. Okay. So this also they may ask you. Next, what do you mean by single source supplier or monopoly supplier? So single source supplier or monopoly supplier means what, guys? Ignore my spelling. He's the only supplier. Means if you want to buy the material, he's the only supplier in the market. So you have to buy. So they may ask you, how do you negotiate with single source supplier? You have to say, sir, we will try by maintaining a contract agreement. We will offer him a long-term business. Or we will check the spend. Now, what do you mean by spend? Here, I'll just tell you. In first video also, I've told you of procurement. So here we'll see, he's the single supplier, and the turnover of the supplier, we will try to analyze the turnover of the supplier. The turnover of the supplier is 10,000 crores, example. Out of that 10,000 crores, I am only providing him a yearly business of 5,000 crores. So that means what? As much as he is important for our business, we are also important for his business. So if we stop our business, his revenue also will come down. So we have to check spend, how much business we are giving to the single source supplier. If we are also giving him lot of high business, we can tell him we are giving you this much business, you reduce the price. Or you can give him a long-term contract or agreement and tell to reduce the price. This is the way how you negotiate with a single source supplier. Remember this. Okay. So here what all questions we have covered, guys? How many sourcing requests? What is internal sourcing? What is external sourcing? Important links, SAP Ariba, negotiation, how you do with the supplier. Then apart from that, after negotiation, comparative statement. Then apart from that, AMC we have discussed, what single source supplier, how you negotiate with single source supplier. Then now, next is known as spot buying. Now, what do you mean by spot buying? This also link I have already given on important links, that notepad. So spot buying means what, guys? See, now monthly materials you are buying from DMart. Full kirana ghar ka you are buying from DMart. But urgently you need one pack of biscuit. For this you won't go to DMart now. You buy from a local shop now. This is like spot buy. So we have registered supplier with us, but sometimes we require a certain quantity on an urgent basis, which is a low value material. Then we go for spot buy suppliers. Spot buy suppliers are which who are non-preferred. We don't prefer them. Value of the material is low, and we don't have any official agreement with that supplier. It's like whenever we require any material on spot, whoever is available, from there we take the material. That is known as spot buying. Okay. Next, what is strategic sourcing? Very, very important. This also link I have given you in the important link notepad. Read there, guys. So strategic sourcing means you have to say first identify the material or identify the category. Which category? Okay, I identified the category, mechanical category, and I require a material valve. Okay, so this is the material. Second step here means first step only is budget. So you identify the budget. Okay, the budget to procure a wall is 150 US dollar per piece. That's the budget given by the company to me for which material wall. Strategic means what? You develop a strategy to find a vendor because you want that vendor for a long term period. Like if first is identify the category, then do the budgeting. So strategic sourcing, Google this, but I'm telling you in simple words. Identify the category. Okay, I require this material and what is the budget. Next is do the market analysis and see if you have previously bought this material. And if you have previously bought this material, see how much you have spent on that material previously. If you have. So do the market analysis. Okay, we get the wall from which all vendors, who are the vendors in the market. So after this, once you identify the vendors, do the RFI process. I'll tell you what is RFI and all. So do the information process, do the quotation process. If required, do the RFP proposal process. So once you have the information or the quotation from the vendors, same like in the case of car, you do the negotiation. Fourth step is negotiation. Fifth step, once you negotiate, you create a comparative chart statement, and then you finalize the comparative start negotiation, and then you finalize the supplier. Once you finalize the supplier, you have to make an official agreement with the supplier. This is done by legal team. That also will come to that official, and then is review the performance. Review means once you have taken the material, now you have selected the vendor, you have to review his performance and also do the benchmarking. Benchmarking means like we have bought the wall for suppose $130. So that $130 becomes a benchmark. You bought a car of 10 lakhs, that becomes a benchmark. Suppose if you get 60% in 10 standard, so next year everyone will expect you to get more because you have set a benchmark for you that is 60%. So benchmarking is always done on your previous things, previous performance. Okay. So strategy, you build the 7 steps, it will be, guys. So you do these 7 steps and try to find the vendor. Okay. So next is what tactical buying. So or tactical sourcing. This also is given in the notepad. Go here. That emphasizes fast here. So strategic is long term. Tactical is like a short term. It's approach to sourcing that a fast requisition quote order process. Fast you'll get a PR, then immediately you'll take the quotes from the supplier and then select the supplier and start the order process. Okay, so this is for short term and transactional goal of purchasing shorter lead times. You want the material in 1 month and high quality goods of supply and low pricing. Understanding or no? So here also they have given the difference between strategic and tactical. Strategic is long term, so that you have to understand. And spot buy is immediate. Tactically short term, spot buy is immediate, strategic is long term. Okay, so read about this. Next, how you negotiate with the vendor also I have told you. Now, what is the difference between RFI, RFQ, and RFP? This also in important links I have given you which link to refer to read this. Okay, so now what do you mean by RFI, RFQ, RFP? Now, guys, RFI is request for information. You have to say. So we create this document and we give this document to suppliers. So if there are 100 suppliers, so we give this document to all 100 suppliers. And in response to this document, suppliers will submit what, guys? Information based on our RFI. So RFI means we are giving the request for information. So we are requesting information from the suppliers. So in RFI, what all things will be there, guys? Here we write certain questions and give to the suppliers. So what questions will be there in RFI? So here we write, give me your capabilities, supplier capabilities. So tell me, what are you capable of about this material? Give your budget information. Give me your minimum order quantity. It's minimum how much I can order. Give me your maximum order quantity. Maximum how much I can order. Next is give me the product research. How you have researched about the product. All the details. Okay. And then apart from that, about the supplier's information about his company. So all these things we will ask from the supplier. Here we are not depend. Here we are not asking them price, guys. So here RFI enables you to create a questionnaire and assign like preliminary grades to filter out the suppliers. Okay. So what suppliers will do? They will see our RFI. They will give their information, and this information from this RFI, when you submit the RFI and when information like suppliers will give you information, from that information it will help you to segregate, filter out the suppliers. So with this information, out of 100 suppliers I will filter out 80 suppliers. So 80 suppliers are out, and now 20 remain. So from these 20 suppliers, then you submit RFQ. RFQ is request for quotation. So now you require exact detail about the pricing. Okay, so then you submit the request for quotation, and then supplier gives you the quote. Quote contains exact details about the product, its pricing, terms, conditions, delivery, everything. So then here, after getting a quotation, you negotiate with the vendor, and then you create a comparative statement and select the supplier. If it is a long term project, guys, long term project means you're constructing a road, you're constructing some house, you're requiring constructing a building, you require a long term services. So that time we submit RFP. We want proposal from the supplier because it's a long term. Usually quotation is of 1 page or 2 page, you have seen while buying a bike or road. Proposal is like a long term, it's like a booklet. So here supplier will submit us the proposal, it's for a long term services. So here all the things will be there in proposal for long term, 5 years period, 6 year period. So this is also known as tenders. In government, you might have seen tenders. So that is proposal. So RFI is information initially questionnaire which you submit to supplier. Then supplier will give you information which helps to segregate the supplies. What all things will be there in this RFI? Supplier capabilities, about his company, research, budget information, material information, MOQ, maximum minimum quantity. From there you filter out. Then quotation contains the exact details of the product, service, pricing, which you want to buy the material within 1 or 2 months, and proposal is for long term. Okay, so first, if vendors are already less in number, then no need to do RFI because already they are less, no need to filter, directly you go for quotation process. And for long term you can go for proposal process. So this you have to understand. So what you submit in RFQ, guys? So in RFQ, what we give to the supplier, what material we want, how much quantity we want, delivery date, address. Then apart from that, quote deadline means within this date you have to submit me your quotation. So material, quantity, delivery date, address, quotation, deadline date. So all these things, unit of measure, all these things you will give specifications of the material, material part number, everything. And vendor will give you quotation. What quotation contains? As you know, product details, pricing details, all the things about the pricing, terms, conditions, which I tell you, and then it will help you to segregate the suppliers. So always remember, students have a confusion. They think RFI is done by suppliers. No, we create RFI, we create RFQ, we create RFP as a buyer, and supplier will give us information, quotation. So we are requesting and they are providing. So RFQ is we are creating this and they are giving the quotation. Proposal, we are creating RFP, they are giving us proposal. Okay, so is the difference between this. Next, what is auction? So you just say you have knowledge on auction. So you have done auction on in your company in SAP Ariba, they used to do auction. But if you go to important links notepad, here I have given you certain links uh, on which we do auction in US. So you can say those links also, guys. Okay, so you go through the notepad, you will get those links. So in that I have given how you do the auctioning. But you can say in our company, sir, I did not work on auction but I have knowledge on auction. So in SAP Ariba, I'm again saying important links. May I have given you 3 links for auctioning. So read that. So in SAP Ariba, sir, what we do is we go here and we create an event. Okay. So for which material we want to do auction. And then auction is for fast moving. Mainly it is focused on pricing. So we create an event that is auction, add the project or the material details or the service details in the auction, send a link to all the suppliers. All the suppliers will participate in the auction. They will do the bidding, and then we will select the supplier based on the price. All the details will be there. So there are many types of auction. Two are reverse and forward auction. major types. Okay, so what is reverse auction, guys? Here we start from a highest price and come to lowest, and here we start from lowest and go to highest. So if you are selling a product, you will go with forward auction. If you are buying a product, you go with a reverse auction. Simple. If I want a product from a vendor, I will say I want engine. So one vendor will say I'll give you engine for 100 rupees. One vendor will say 200. One vendor will say 50. So of course I'll select which vendor, 50, because least, who is giving me the least price. I want to build a road. Tenders will be there. So whoever is giving the tender within my budget, I'll give him that. Suppose I want to sell a product. Okay, so you want to sell your mobile. So one person says 100 rupees for mobile, one more says 200. So of course you won't give for 100, right? You will go for 200. So forward wins, lowest to highest. So these are types of auctions, and this you do in SAP Ariba. So auctioning is only for price, and here usually we are doing negotiation, which is one to one. Auction is open, like everyone participates and everyone will give their bids, and whoever highest or lowest, depending on reverse or forward, you can do. So in Ariba, you will create a project, run an event, then send the link to the suppliers. They will participate, they'll put the bid, and then you'll negotiate and select the supplier. Or not negotiation directly, you'll select the supplier based on the pricing, I can say, depending on forward and reverse auction. Okay. So sites are given in links also. Ariba only you can say that you have knowledge how auction runs. In our company it was used by Ariba, but that was done by a separate team. But this is the process what they used to do. And links, if they ask you any websites you are using for this auctioning, then three links I have given in that important links wala notepad. Next. Mm, what is your SLA for RFQ process? SLA for RFQ process is 15 to 30 days, because you need that much time to find a supplier. KPI I have already told in the first video. You can go in. Usually in sourcing, the KPI is cost saving. How much cost you have saved after negotiation? That is one thing. But you say the KPIs which I have given in the first interview video only, guys. So direct, indirect commodities I have explained you. AMC I have explained you. The majorly. Then apart from that, hmm. So we'll come to the next. How are you going to explain your day-to-day profile in sourcing? Only sourcing. So we will say on a daily basis, we receive the sourcing request. Once you receive the sourcing request, you check all the details in the sourcing request. How you are receiving the sourcing request? Or we are receiving in the tool that is ServiceNow. So once we receive the sourcing request, we check what client has told us. Who creates a sourcing request? Client side, the production team. So which material they want or which service they want, quantity, delivery date, unit of measure, address. Then apart from that, budget, everything should be there in sourcing request. All these things, minute details, everything should be there in sourcing request. So once I have the sourcing request, I'll validate it. If anything is missing, I reach out to the client. After that, I do a internal sourcing to find the suppliers in our SAP ECC. Then I'll do the external sourcing on different websites. Then I reach out to the suppliers. Then if there are more number of suppliers, I first run a RFI process. Then through that, after that shortlisting, then we do the RFQ process. Then we get the quotation from the supplier. Once we get the quotation from the supplier, we analyze the quotation, we create a comparative chart, we negotiate with the suppliers. After doing negotiation and creating the comparative chart on different parameters, then we send this to the supplier. Sorry, we send this chart to the requester or the client, and then we have a meeting with them, and then client chooses the suppliers based on our report. And then once the supplier is chosen, then we send him a selection letter, or we mail him the selection letter. And then our contract management team is there, who is a legal team. They take care of the contracting with the supplier, and then the supplier is added in the system in vendor master data. So this is the process what is taken care in our company. This is your day-to-day profile, and you're managing both direct and indirect category of materials. Understanding? Then if they ask you, have you done any cost savings? Yes, sir, I have done cost saving. So I've given you vendor material notepad, guys. So you can create such example. So recently I did a cost saving for this material, sir, that is solenoid wall. So the budget approved for solenoid wall was 130 US dollar per piece. Then after that, once I got this request, then I did internal sourcing, external sourcing. Then after doing RFI process, I found three vendors. One is Alta Enterprises, second is Allied Electronics, and third is Airgas LLC. Then I submitted the RFQ. Then all three vendors gave me the quotation. Alta Enterprises gave me the quotation for $138. Allied Electronics gave me the quotation for $140. Airgas gave me the quotation for $142. Then I did negotiation. on all the parameters. After negotiation, every vendor, Allied Electronics agreed for $125 per piece. Airgas agreed for $130 per piece. Alta Enterprises agreed for $129 per piece. Then I made a comparative chart, send it to my requester. My requester, according to my suggestion, approved Allied Electronics. And here, sir, we required 1,000 walls for the business. So we saved $5 per piece because the budget was 130 and we bought it for 125, 5,000, and totally we required 1,000 walls. So we saved around $5,000 for wall project. So this way, create 3 to 4 examples from that notepad and make sure whenever they ask you how much you have saved, you say, sir, we are negotiating in the team. Like I am not negotiating individually, but we have saved around $40,000 till date on different projects. Like Allied solenoid wall, we saved 5,000. Then for O-rings, we saved another $5,000. And this way we have saved, and this was the process. So create this way 2 to 3 examples again. So air compressor, that you can take those examples and you save this much amount. So this way, if you explain, it is more than enough for you guys for interview. Next, about the contract management team. So first of all, remember contract management is not done by us. Contract management is done by the legal team. So it's very important that we don't do contract management. So you have to say contract management is done by legal team. So go here in important links notepad. I have given what all things are in the contract management. So contract management, you have to say in contract management, once vendor is selected, we design a contract with the supplier. This is also known as SOW. SOW means statement of work, or this is known as MSA. MSA is known as master service agreement. So here we say we do an agreement with the supplier which is based of 1 year or 2 years, and agreement contains what all things. Agreement contains scope of work, agreement contains the material information, agreement contains the pricing information, agreement contains the payment terms, inco terms, all the terms and conditions of the material, terms and conditions. Then apart from that, if any licensing is there, who is going to take care of that? And then privacy and confidential information also is there. Privacy and confidential, this is known as NDA. I have told you guys, NDA means non-disclosure agreement. So you should prevent vendor secrecy information, vendor should prevent your secrecy information. All these things will be there in your contract or agreement. And one more thing which will be there is force majeure. What is force majeure, they may ask you. So force majeure means if tsunami happens in your state or whatever, if tsunami happens and all, then city will be stopped, right? So it's not your mistake that city is stopped. So force majeure means if certain unforeseen circumstances occur which is beyond human control, and if this point is maintained in your agreement, then you need not pay the rent till the city is back to normal. So this is like unforeseen circumstances beyond human control. When they occur, then you get relaxation in most of the contracting points. So force majeure, you have to say this also, they can ask you. So all these points will be there in a contract or agreement. And then if they ask you how do you amend the contract, sir, as I said, we are not doing the contract. Amend means every year there are certain changes to contract, then you have to do the amendment. In which tool are you doing this contract? Then you have to say, sir, SAP Ariba is the tool. So in that they are doing the contract. There is a contract workspace option in SAP Ariba. So here they go and create the contract with the supplier, and then contract number is created, and then we do the editing once ever any updates are to be done. So in SAP ECC, what is the different contracts? In SAP ECC, you can create a quantity contract. Means here the contract with the supplier is done on quantity. How many pieces you are buying in a 1 year. Value contract, here the contract is done on based on value, that you will buy a material worth 1 lakh rupees for this whole year. One is schedule. Schedule means you give a schedule to the vendor, like how you require the material throughout the year. So this in SAP ECC, schedule agreement, not argument, it's agreement. So this T code is ME31K and ME31L. So if they ask you in terms of SAP ECC, you say this knowledge, but they will ask you this term, guys. So this you understand. Contract management, we are not doing. Legal team is doing this. What all contract contains, that also. Which tool? What is force majeure? Everything should be knowing. What is non-disclosure agreement? And what is redlining? Redlining means what, guys? See, guys, we having 50 points in the contract. Vendor may not agree on all the 50 points. He disagrees on 5 points. Then you have to have rediscussion on those 5 points. Those 5 points are red line, means vendor is not agreeing on those points. So this is contract management. This you have to answer them. And the tool used for contract management is SAP Ariba. So if they ask you what is BOM, BOM means bill of material. You have to say bill of material means it contains all the details about the product, sub assemblies, assemblies, which helps us to give the pricing understanding of the material. Read about bill of material once. How you understand whether vendor is quoting the correct price? Sir, we do the market analysis. if we have brought the product previously, then we do the benchmarking. Previously, how much we have bought, we study that, or we study the bill of material from the production team. So through market analysis, benchmarking, and bill of material, we understand what vendor is giving us the correct price or no. That you have to tell. Then apart from that, what do you mean by spend analysis? Have you done spend analysis? Yes, sir. We have done spend analysis. So guys, for this we are recording one more session for sourcing. So I'll stop this, and in the next session I will record the whole thing about analysis also. So two videos will be there on sourcing. So we'll stop now, and then I'll re-record the session for the next spend analysis.